brothers, this is Mr. Ellis. I'm going to go over the dynamic image assignment once more. This time I'm going to do it with the actual code intact, and we'll go over what the code does and how you get it in. Now, in the class before, I made an error and it took me all 15 minutes to the lecture, took all the lecture to straighten it out. Well, I've recreated the page, and I'm going to go over it. Now bear in mind, your assignment goes much further. Your assignment calls for you to have 4 images, 3 buttons, okay, and then the 3 functions, and you have to know which events call which functions. Okay. Let us look first at the page. I have it here in Chrome. Okay. I want a header. This is created with Jumbotron, of course. We have used a style tag in the header to change the attributes of Jumbotron. It's no longer gray and left justified. Everything, the background is blue and everything is centered. Okay. This is my image. I have one image. I haven't centered it. I haven't done anything special. All I've done is put it in a div with my 2 buttons. Now, I would like you to have a blue background that matches this Jumbotron header, and then I'm not going to down you for artistic ability, but you must have, instead of these 2 buttons, you must have 3 buttons, and the image must change. Okay, so I'm going back to the code. Okay, in the code, first we must get what makes Bootstrap work. Okay, and these tags are readily available in W3 schools. You should go out, click on any example, copy these 3 tags, and paste them into your page. Now, you can have a zip file and expand it and take that code and put it into your document, but every time they change something in Bootstrap, you would have to redo that. You have to repeat that. I prefer to have these tags point to the resource, and if they change the resource, then you have the changes right there in your hands, in your page. You don't have to go and say, oh, that's not working, let me go out and redo this. No. And as far as production is concerned, if you put something into production, you want it to be flexible enough to change with dynamic enough, and that phrase comes into play again. You want it to be dynamic enough so it adjusts to any changes that are made outside your control. Okay, I've called the page Dynamic Image Demo. I've inserted my tags that are needed. I've also done some CSS on Jumbotron. Jumbotron is the class, and I've changed its background to light blue, and I've text aligned center. Those are the only 2 that I would do. Of course, you can you can go overboard if you want. Okay, you can change the font size. You can use a new font family. It will change because it is a class, and if you know the CSS commands to do so, you can change Jumbotron and make it your own. Okay. Here I have a script tag that's going to hold my JavaScript. Okay. Inside the script tag, I am calling 3 functions. Okay, and this is exactly like yours. Okay, and I'm making changes. Now, we went over what the DOM was and how to change the attributes on the elements. Okay, but the important thing to remember, which I didn't remember in class, is that you must have the correct ID access. If you're going to change an attribute, you must have an element that has that attribute on it. I was trying to change the source of the image source of a button. It didn't turn out too well. Okay, well, I will talk about the ID on the image tag in a minute. Okay, but first, when this function is called, you'll see an image of a young kid with a hippo taking it to St. Louis Zoo. When this function is called, you will see an image of Mr. Ellis. and when this function is called, you'll see the default image, which is kick the ball. Okay. Going back. Now, as for my image tag, okay, the image tag starts with kick the ball. The source is kick the ball. It has a height and a width that's going to be the default for these guys because I'm pouring this image into here. Now, in reality, these two images are larger than this, but because I've specified the height and width, when I put it in, it's uniform, and the screen will not jump. It will stay the same. Okay. And the ID of this particular image is my image. Okay. And on mouse over is the event that's going to cause that image to change back to the default. It's going to call show default. In show default, we see that the image is kick the ball. That's the default image. When I mouse over my image, it'll come back to default image. Okay. Alright, I have two buttons. These buttons, one is blue, which is primary. This class is a bootstrap class. It says button. I want a button. I want a blue button. Primary is the blue button. I want a button. I want a red button. Danger is the red button. Okay. On click is the event that is calling that particular function. On click here with the red button, we'll call Mr. Ellis. Okay. And that's it. Okay. It's not a lot of code, but there's some things going on that you need to understand. You need to understand an event causes something to happen. When I click that event, we like to call it a broadcast is sent to this function, or this function is called. Okay. And this function is called, and only this function will react to that click. Okay. So let me demo. And let me reload just in case I did something. Okay. Now, first I'll click kid, and I get the kid with the hippo. And as you see, as I mouse over it, I get the kick the ball back. So, click, you get an image associated with the button. That's me. Oh, what a handsome guy. And then if I mouse over, I change back to the default image. This has been a demonstration of your dynamic image